Hey guys, this is John with the Alpha Channel update for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 here in Los Angeles. And today we have the continuation of The Disaster. The Disastrous story by Michael Higgins, penciled by Ron Lim. Beautiful pencils, Conan 234. Beautiful pencils by Ron Lim. And the biggest Jewish anti-white propaganda humiliation ritual of a story that I have ever come across. And this is a sequel to the first one, 233. So this is 234. 233 we went through yesterday. And coming tomorrow we have 235, which is the ending of this. I think it's the end. This is absolutely, this has all the worst tropes of bad writing that you can do. All the mistakes that you can make, trying to make it personal without making it relevant, trying to make it important without making, none of the characters make decisions. Again, no decisions, all based on circumstance and hurry. It feels like, it's funny, the response that I'm having to this is similar to the response that a writer has when they're put under a deadline and forced to rush and demanded that they spill forth and just throws everything at the wall. Every trope all at once. And I know this is a Jew because the way he used werewolves and sorcery and family. And this is just, we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it. First, I want to do today's Wildwood Tarot. I have not looked at it, and I don't know what it's going to be. This is Hearn the Green Man. This is the Hooded Man. We had this card, I think, last week. And here there's mistletoe on his robe, and there's a door in the background. Really amazing art on this one. Yesterday's card was the, I think I'd like to show this one off too. Yesterday's card was the Six of Arrows transition. And so today's card, I have not looked at it yet. So this is the Page of Vessels, the Otter. And you know what's really interesting about this is I was thinking about including those little Usagi Yojimbo lizards in the comic book Modern Savages, but I think maybe we'll include, we're going to have coyotes, we're going to have squirrels. I think squirrels would be enough. This is the Page of Vessels, the Otter. I'm going to hold it up a little bit closer. And I wanted to do this first because if I indulge too much in the volume of hatred that this has inspired in me and calling it out, and I remember having the same feelings when I read it as a kid. This guy commits so many grievous writer sins. I don't know how he got this job. Clearly it's nepotism. They want to keep Jewish money inside the Jewish family. And what I've noticed in comics and a lot of this stuff is that the writers and artists who are allowed to create a character, allowed to create a significant character that's going to go on to reap royalties in films and such, the executives know ahead of time which kind of stories are going to get that kind of attention because they're laying out the plots. They know the emotional impact if the plot is executed right. And the same thing with this. This guy may have been given a ghost plot and he was informed to write this section of Conan's life. And if he'd had any talent as a writer, he could have done a magnificent job. I could rewrite this now, at this point in my life. Now, this guy's only 15 years older than me. So he must have been pretty young when he was writing this. And fuck Marvel for giving this to a child. This wasn't meant to be written by a child. This was meant to be written by someone with some adult experience. Even though it's a story of Conan's teenage years, it can't be written by a teenager. That's stupid. Conan is not one of the X-Men. And the way Ron Lim draws this is like he's drawing the X-Men. So let's start off where we left off. This kid, Conan's friend Jorah, has walked into a fire. His home cottage was burning, and he walked in and walked out without a scratch. The only thing he was interested in is a box of jewels. Is a jewelry box. He's not interested in his parents, not interested in any brothers and sisters. This is written by a child not thinking about the emotional ties they have to the family members around them. This is someone who hasn't written mature themes about death, about the death of a family member, maybe hasn't experienced the death of a family member, someone in his early 20s who hasn't lost a parent yet and is just high on their own supply. This is a terrible story. So Conan is now threatening his friend who's come out of a fire because Conan hates magic. So therefore, the teen Conan would lose his shit on a friend that he's been through thick and thin with. And the previous adventure, none of the thick and thin made sense, mind you. It was all bullshit. It's snarky New York Jews pretending at being barbarians. And that's what this is. And then now Jorah opens the box, but Conan just sees an empty box. Only Jorah can see the magic jewels inside. This is so Jewish. Jews, jewels, that's all they care about. And so here they go out and party, and this bar whore loves Conan. That's the other thing, is Jews only see women as whores. They can't write women. What I loved about so much of the Japanese samurai stuff is that the women are real women who have real concerns, like caring for the children and caring for the home and caring for the area around the home. And you see that in all the Zatoichi stories, all the Miyamoto Musashi stories, all the samurai kung fu stuff. There's a really good Zatoichi that was made in the 80s where it's still Shintaro Katsu and it's in color. And he comes to a village where a young girl in her 20s is taking care of a bunch of kids, like kindergarten. And the first time I watched that, I so wanted her to be Bruce Lee's sister in Enter the Dragon, and this was like a ninja school, like what would be a Jedi ninja school in this mountain village. But they don't put her through the big fight with all the samurai at the end, which is probably a smart thing. And there's also an ad for the X-Men video game, the Konami video game, the early one that was just, 2 pixels sort of overhead. But so we continue. Conan and the girl. Conan gets lucky with the girl, and Jorah insults some children. So here's another thing that could have been written really, really well. Jorah calls over some kids to ask what's going on, and he shits all over them unnecessarily. He unnecessarily bullies them and treats them like shit. And as the oldest of 14 kids, I have 8 younger brothers and 5 younger sisters. And sometimes, there was teasing and bickering going back and forth. But generally, I treated them with respect. I tried to treat them with respect. I never tried to bully my younger brothers and sisters. There's something else I wanted to talk about in this inspired in me. So Jorah treats these kids with like shit. He shits all over them for no reason. And then he goes in and explains to Conan the news that he got from them, that the Sumerian towns are going to be attacked. So this is the first we've heard about Conan's parents. Conan's been out running around, whoring it up, robbing people, murdering guards for no reason. And I'd like to say that Jorah is the bad influence, but the bad influence here is the author. This is what the author's idea of being a white guy is. These kids are essentially bullies. And so here we get a little bit more of, is this Conan's town? This is Conan's town. This actually is a wizard, an underground. This is a new bad writing technique. When this writer got to a gap where he didn't know what to do, he introduced a new bad guy. I think this is the 3rd or 4th new bad guy out of the blue. This is just terrible writing. So this wizard has a whole bunch of demons with him underground, and he sacrifices this seemingly innocent guy who obviously didn't know. This is so Jewish. This is a Jewish ritual, right? This is Pizzagate. This is what they do in their spare time. This is what sewer Jews are doing in New York. Sacrifices this goyim and turns all these golem, these demons, these other goblins, these other sewer rats, makes them look like men. You know the dwarves have no souls, right? Jews have no souls. They weren't created by God. They were created by Hephaestus to serve him. And then God created man. And Hephaestus already had these sewer trolls. And he's like, well, no fair. And God was like, well, they're not men. It's the Allfather, Odin, or Luvita in J.R.R. Tolkien's stories. said they're not men. They have no souls. And so now they've been pretending to have souls ever since. They're really just goblin trolls. And so here we have the goblin trolls turned into men and sent forth to pillage. These are like orcs, right? These are like goblins and orcs. Sent forth to pillage the Shire. And here is the witch again. And she's pulling some strings too. So now we have two bad guys. We have, or maybe this is the witch, right? So this is the witch with goblin trolls. She's sending out to attack Conan and this kid. And we still don't know who or where she's from or why, but it's so Jewish. And they are racing to Conan's homeland. And here we have Conan's parents, who have not been in the story since the beginning of the last issue. He's just clearly run away, and they're warning the Sumerian village is on the lookout for the upcoming army. They know the army is coming. And there's no mention of Conan. He may as well not even exist. There's other children in the village, but apparently he doesn't have any brothers or sisters, and his parents don't even wonder where he is. The cover is awesome. The art by Ram Lim is amazing. The art by Ram Lim is incredible. But the story if I ever get to meet Michael Higgins in real life, I'm going to either force him to apologize or force him to pick a fight with me or force him to call the police, because I'll tease him so mercilessly. And I don't bully people, but I will bully this person. This person deserves it. He had no right to write this. He had no right to write this. Whoever employed him to do this, he should have politely said no. The editor should have said, I think we're going to get called out on this one. Well, masks off, Jews. We see what you're doing. So here's some further white humiliation in the battle. Let's see if this is it. This is the battle with the Sumerians. And this is Conan and Jorah. Jorah sneaks up on Conan while he's sleeping. And he gives him an amulet. So he pulls out this amulet out of his little jewel box. And you can see a skull reflected on it. It's like a ruby skull. So this is more Jew magic, right? This is like the little red thread around the left wrist. You know, you see Jew-owned Goyim wearing this, like Ashton Kutcher and whoever else. I think Woody Harrelson wore one for a while. It's like a red thread bracelet around your left wrist. It's so that Jewish magic doesn't get you. Jewish curses. And so here you see the Sumerians in battle. And here you see the witch doing some nonsense. The colors are amazing too. George Roussos really outdid himself with the colors this time. And here you see Conan riding into battle. And more witch action. And here you see, this is important. At the bottom, Conan sees his father and sees his father decapitated. That is an anti-white humiliation ritual on the audience reading it. Yes, Conan's father was killed in battle. We saw that in the movie. But this guy just did it differently and did it in a way to put it in your face. There's no emotion in this. There's no relationship between Conan and his father. Neither of them, no choices have been made. No choices have been made. The only person making choices in this story is the author. He's the only person choosing anything. These characters are just riding into scenes and then watching what happens. So this is an anti-white humiliation ritual where Conan has to watch his father be decapitated. That's what this is. That's what this Jew wrote here. And meanwhile, Conan has been behaving like an absolute shit. He's been a perfect turd of a son. He's basically the prodigal son, which is what I guess Jews are. Going out and sleeping with whores. And yeah, Conan slept with a lot of whores, and I'm sure slept with a lot of tavern wenches and all that. But the way it's written here is, it is what it is. Here, this sorceress has a guy turned into a werewolf. Because we all know there's Nazi werewolves, right? There's still Nazi werewolves all around you. That's the thing about not see werewolves. You don't see them. They're not seen. Like ninjas. Here Conan's mother gets murdered by the werewolf. More anti-white humiliation ritual. Anti-white humiliation ritual is what this book is. Jewish propaganda. Every bad writing decision you could possibly make. No characters made a choice. They just ran in and watched things happen. It was completely driven by the author. You still don't know what anyone's motivations are. No one has any relationship with each other that makes any sense. Conan and Jorah are just basically it's basically GTA. They're basically two kids out stealing or whatever and going to war and battle. This is not Conan. It's not. It's out of pocket, out of character, doesn't make any sense. Tomorrow, we'll get to the next one. I think I've said all I need to say, but you can see this reflected in everything around you. Joe Biden isn't the president, Antony Blinken is. The State Department's completely Jewish. This country has been a Jew-op since they murdered Kennedy. Probably they would say before then, just go ask them. Ask them. Don't take it from me, ask them. Find a Jew close to you and ask them if they don't believe that they rule the United States and that the Goyim are their cattle. Make them answer the question. Don't pay your taxes, don't vote. Boycott, divest, and sanction, and ghost. And when I say ghost, I mean ignore them. I don't mean murder them. Ghost them.